Welcome to our final video in the series, The Nervous System. Kate Biology Unit 2 students, this one is for you. So get your learning tools out and stay tuned. I'm Miss Disha, and today I'll be talking about how neurons use all or nothing electrical messages called action potentials. Recall that the dendrites receive signals from other neurons or other cells. These signals are sent down to this area called the axon hillock. And if these signals are strong enough, which we call threshold, or large enough in threshold, then an action potential can be generated down the axon. Now, prior to the action potential, however, all neurons are in a resting state, which we call the resting membrane potential of about minus 70 millivolts. In this state, there is an electrical potential difference between the inside of the cell and its extracellular space. And this resting membrane potential is subjected to change depending on the type of input received by the neuron. Now, I stated that there was a membrane potential difference when the cell was at rest, right? You must be wondering, how is this achieved? I'd be happy to tell you. There are factors such as the impermeability of the cell membrane of the axon to certain ions. Yes, recall from Unit 1, the phospholipid bilayer. Internally, it's highly hydrophobic, so it won't allow certain ions to pass. And that kind of boosts the membrane potential. There's also the presence of sodium-potassium ATPases or pumps. Yes, this allows 3 sodium ions in for every 2 sodium ions out of the cell. There's also the presence of anions or negatively charged proteins inside the cell. Now let's talk about what will happen if the threshold is large enough to change the condition of the resting potential. The action potential has 3 steps. Yes, there's depolarization, repolarization, and hyperpolarization. Now, as an action potential is being generated down the axon, what will happen first is depolarization. During depolarization, sodium channels open and sodium will rush into the cell. Now, prior to the action potential, remember I said that while at rest, the cell was more negative internally. As depolarization occurs, what you think will happen? That's right. Inside of the cell will get more electropositive because the sodium ions are coming in. After sodium channels have reached its potential, what will happen is that the sodium channels will close and the potassium channels will open, right? As you can see, the charge increased to the positive side, but once the sodium channels are closed, what will happen? As you can see, the voltage is approaching the negative value once again. This is called repolarization, right? Sodium is moving out of the cell, so the cell is being less electropositive, right? It's kind of being more electronegative now. An important thing to note is that the potassium channels stay open a little bit longer, long enough to overshoot the action potential, and we call this hyperpolarization. When the action potential arrives at the synaptic knob, it will depolarize the area. This will allow calcium channels to open, allowing calcium inside the cell, which will eventually lead to the fusion of vesicles containing acetylcholine to the presynaptic membrane, and following this, its liberation into the synaptic cleft. These neurotransmitters therefore move along their gradient and bind to receptors on the postsynaptic neuron. And after this is achieved, acetylcholine is recycled. Yes, it is either broken down by enzymes or the presynaptic neuron reuptake it, so it can be used during another depolarization exercise. Lastly, let's talk about the importance of the synapse. Recall, it is the synapse that allows for communication between two neurons. They also connect neurons found in the central nervous system to the peripheral nervous system. Synapse also allows for fast communication between neurons, and this is very important in enabling us to respond to the different kinds of stimulus in the environment. The synapse is important in the formation of memory. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for staying tuned to the 3 videos of this series, The Nervous System. I wish you well in your examinations. I know you will do well. Thanks for supporting DOA. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Bye.